What's going on, guys? JD here from PerspectiveCaptured, and we are talking about DJI's new little drone, the Spark. Okay, the Spark is priced at $499, and he is an incredible little package. So we're going to talk about the pros, the cons, the weird, and things you should know buying the Spark. Starting off the size. The size is about weighing it just over half a pound, somewhere in the range of 3/4 of a pound. He is super light, and you could throw him in your bag or backpack and not even know he's there. The batteries are the size of two of my thumbs. I could get 4 batteries in my pockets before I even notice that they're there. What's another thing that's awesome about the batteries is they charge super fast. Although you're not getting a lot of flight time in it, 4 extra batteries in your pocket plus the one that's on the drone, and you've got 5 batteries, and you're getting at least about an hour of flight time. You can charge 3 batteries at the same time with the charger that comes with the Fly More package. But if you're out on the road and you are driving from one place to another and you've only got 2 batteries, you can use the micro USB cable here on the back and get a charge while you're driving or on the road. The automatic camera on this thing is really good, and it's really good at taking pictures. So I want to show you here Spark picture quality. Here's the Spark and the Mavic, and you can see that they're like the same size picture. And here I've overlapped them, and you're going to see that pretty much it's the same picture. So now I want to overlap. This is the Spark picture. Now, if you were to shoot 1080 video, here is the video overlaid into the middle, and that's actually what you're getting for the video. But that's nothing special for video. If you look at the Mavic, you're getting the same thing, although this is 4K. You're still cropping off top and bottom here, even in the 4K on the Mavic. Most sensors actually do that. So here I'm going to fly up and just snap an image of this playground, and here's what you get. Now I'm going to zoom in 600%. Here's just another picture I took and another 600% zoom. Something you should be aware of, without setting your white balance, this is what it looks like if you catch it while it's changing. So here's how to set your white balance. You go to follow the settings here, follow the arrow, and then you're gonna end up on custom, adjust your white balance accordingly. So far from what I've tested, the tracking modes do an excellent job at tracking you. The only problem I had with tracking you is in low light, but I can't. In the daylight, it has done an excellent job of tracking me. Now, one of my favorite things about this is the palm launch and land, which is awesome. I do not need to put it on the ground anymore. What do? Well, after it's up and running, if you're connected to an app, double tap the back, it will beep, it'll start spinning, and you just slowly let go of it, and it will hover right in place. Take out your phone, control it by the app. When you're done flying around, get it close to you, put your hand under it for a second, and it will land in your hand if you're near the home spot. I have found that doesn't work perfectly unless you turn on gestures if you're far away from your home point. Because you wouldn't want it thinking that there's a hand under it if it's not near where it took off from. At least that's the way I see it. So All right, so let's move on to the cons. I had mentioned it before in one of my previous videos. I have a big problem with the fact that with the quick launch, the double tap and not needing to connect it to an app, that it only will take a picture via gesture. So if you're out there and you don't want to start up your cell phone, but you want to get a quick selfie or something like that, you can turn it on, double tap, it'll launch. So you give it a gesture, you wave at it, it'll fly back about 10 feet, and then you can give it a gesture to take a picture. Now, the problem is it active tracks you, but it's not recording video. And I had a big problem with that before. I still have a big problem with that before, and I'm really hoping DJI puts that in an update because it's definitely doable. I just think if it's active tracking you, it should be recording you. So the battery is small. I'm not saying that that's a problem for actually using it and carrying it, but this only gives you 11 minutes of real flight time, give or take, depending on if it's windy or not. I was averaging about 11 to 13 minutes, depending on what I was doing with it. So what's that going to give you? That's pretty much flying around to get what you want to see, but don't go too far. So like doing the how far can this thing fly test, I don't think they're the best idea because the return to home, it's not going to get you back. At least I don't think so. Even though they claim that the remote can reach 2 kilometers away, I wouldn't try it. Plus, you're breaking the rules. You're supposed to keep this in sight at all times. But where the short battery life does come into play is if you're out over water and you're checking out this beautiful landscape, you go maybe a little too far, and now you've only got X amount of time to get back and land. All right, and although it was a Pro, the automatic camera settings can get in the way. So if I need to change a battery on site and I put a new one in and I've set the white balance for where I currently was, I have to go in and reset that white balance so you can under or overexpose it. Not that it's impossible to get cinematic results with just your cell phone. It is definitely not easy because with the cell phone, you can control up, down, rotate left, right, forward, back, left, or right, but you can't at the same time control the gimbal. Now, I heard somewhere, or I think I heard somewhere that there was a setting to rotate your phone to control the gimbal. I didn't find that anywhere, but then again, maybe I'm making that up and I haven't heard that anywhere. And if that's true, then yeah, my idea right here. And you should put that in. This way you can fly the drone and just angle your phone to get that gimbal where you want it. So since we're talking about the remote, we need to talk about the remote. It doesn't matter if I'm using the cell phone or the remote. There's glitches, major glitches that aren't major glitches. So there's no wire anymore. If I'm going to use the remote, it's a Wi-Fi connection from here to here. So if I'm going to use it, all I got to do is turn this on and connect the Wi-Fi to this. Then when I start this up, I have to hold the back button till it beeps once, and then it will look for the remote control. If I hold this until it beeps twice, then it will look for the cell phone as a controller. And it will turn on itself's Wi-Fi. So that's how you connect the individual controller depending on what you're flying with. I always assume Wi-Fi would be, if I'm flying the drone and I'm using my app, I clearly understand that there'll be glitches because you're using Wi-Fi. As you get further away, the signal's not going to be as amazing. And, a glitch here and there is going to happen. And I'm not sure if the same thing is what's happening with the remote, but I get glitches on the remote, and that I don't like. But in all cases, even though I'm getting glitches, I still have control. I've never lost control over the drone. I've always had control. So I'm not really 100% sure what is going on, but if you are purchasing the Spark, be aware glitches will happen. Don't freak out. Continue to fly the drone the way you were, except keep your eyes on it. I noticed if I'm rotating right or rotating left, it decides to do that either fast or choppy, depending on where I am, what I'm doing, but it's not consistent. It's not a smooth motion if I get that glitch. I definitely can see it. Outside of unsmooth footage, I have not had any issues. So that's just something to be aware of. Another con or problem I was having was both using the remote. So both times I was using the remote control, and the first time that I noticed this problem is it topped me out at 50 meters. Now I do mine in meters, so just so you know, the 400-foot limit is 120 meters. I flew the next day and I had no problem getting up to 120 meters. I'm not sure why. Return to home is pretty good. I don't know if it's as good as people say. So I took off from the exact center of the basketball court, and when I returned to home, it was going to land about 2 feet off from where I took off, but it decided to stop. Now this is sped up, but it decided to stop, and I'm not sure why, and it stopped right above and then said couldn't land. And now let's talk about the weird. I mean, there's only one thing on my weird list. The picture that you will see when you're about to snap a photo, the photo you're going to see on your phone right before you snap it is actually smaller than the image you are taking. I don't know why, but at least it's better and not the other way around where the image is smaller than what you see on your cell phone. Okay, 2 things you should be aware of, and one I've already talked about, the remote losing signal often or getting weak signals and glitching out. That is one thing you need to be aware of. Already mentioned it. The second thing you need to be aware of is when you are switching your battery, I recommend you exiting out of the DJI Go app, restarting it when you put the new battery in. So here you're going to see, you can see I'm pressing the screen. There's little dots, but it's still holding on and it's still moving. Normally you get an almost instantaneous stopping of the drone. And here I'm getting also a poor radio channel quality. So you're just constantly getting these little blips. And after I ended up restarting the DJI Go app, the problems went away. But after I back out of it, as you can see here in this video, you can clearly see that the DJI Go app had something going on with it. So this has been my full comprehensive review of the Spark. So what are my recommendations? It's an awesome little drone. If you are looking for a drone to be simple, just get up, take some pictures, some video, or be a backup. You want to use him to scout out an area or something like that. He's a great little drone. I do recommend, for cinematic results, I do recommend getting the Fly More combo with the remote. I tried to show you what to expect as best I could. I am much happier with him than I thought I would be. Much happier. Be a part of the conversation below. Let me know what you think. If you have the Spark already, let me know what you think. If you're getting the Spark, yeah, just tell me your life story below. Everything. I want to know everything. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of the conversation.